Hello and welcome back to West Ham Network. Good evening, welcome back to Old School Hammers, and with me to my left is Kieran and to his left, Luke. How are we, chaps, alright?
Not bad, yourself?
Yeah, mate, getting there.
All good.
Looking forward to this international break, are we, lads?
Nah.
No.
Got to start off with a flat one,
break starts with fucking Southgate, right? Picking a squad that no one agrees with. That's it. And and on it goes. So yeah, it's quite boring, isn't it?
Have you heard what Rio Ferdinand's been saying about JWP not getting taken?
No.
Oh, mate, he's leaping up and down, honestly. Him and Anton, they both are. Yeah,
really?
mate. They've been very vocal about it, apparently. Yeah. Okay. So,
well,
anyway.
he's a very similar boy, isn't he, Southgate, with these sort of favourites, doesn't he? And sticks with them. He's very similar to Moyes in that respect. And sometimes that's admirable, to stick with a player, that does a job for you. Sometimes it beggars belief. So it depends what camp you're in.
Frustrating to the max. Yeah, it's frustrating to the max. So, we're going to get on to David Moyes in a second. But let's have a little look, see who's in the chat. Old man, hello mate, how are you? Good evening, he says. Gary J's in the house from the United States. And, of course, Happy Amaret. Paul Houston, good evening to you. Helen, good evening to you. Helen, how are you? What are we saying here? Oh look, she started already. Look, I have no control over this. I'm sorry, Luke.
You split one out, mate.
And hi, yes, she's saying hello to me, and Gary's saying evening. And right, okay, so let's have a little chat about David Moyes. Then, is the criticism fair? That's what the heading says. We can work from there and work our way outwards, upwards and inwards, however we want to do it. So, is the criticism of David Moyes fair? I'll start with you, Kieran.
I suppose that depends what you're criticising him about, isn't it? What's your point of view on his style of management? Can you criticise that? I can, but I don't particularly like it. I never have, so I never wanted him. But does he deserve some credit here and there? Of course he does. We can't sit back here and say he doesn't deserve any credit at all. The first season he turned up, I did not want him. And he surprised me, and I enjoyed a lot of that season. I enjoyed some of the games, I really did. Souček was on fire. Soufal came in, was a revelation. Antonio all of a sudden was scoring goals up front. Things like that, the little cameo of Lingard, pushed us on a bit, played, that he deserved credit for. Last season in the league was horrendous. And when you see Souček sort of form fell off a cliff, so did Antonio. Bowen weren't that good last year. And then it isn't working. And then it's boring. And his style of football, if not everyone's at it, it becomes a very hard watch. Really hard watch. And some of the games, since our good start to the season, that's what we're getting. Again, we've had some games that are really hard to watch. Mixed in with a cracking result against Brighton, a needed result against Forest, and that was had to happen. So yeah, he deserves criticism at times. Some of the players do too. But what you're going to do, you're always going to have this with Moyes because of his style of play. I don't find it entertaining, and I judge it not by where we are in the league, it's about what I'm watching. But I'm enjoying it every week, regardless. Win, lose, or draw. enjoying what we're doing, and have a fun, then I'm happy.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Luke, what about you, mate?
I think it's fair, but it's also down to personal preference because on one hand, the argument always comes in with Moyes that he should stay because he's got us Europe for 3 years in a row. He's won us a trophy. He's done this. He's done that, which is it's facts. You can't deny that. That's what they are. Thing is, for me, I've also realised that actually, a style of football bores me, and I didn't think it would ever be like that. Because if you win games and you do it effectively, then you respect that. If it's long ball for 90 minutes but you win 3-0, then I can't really moan, and I don't mind enjoying this win. But the trouble with me is that if David Moyes wants to play a certain style of play, if we wants to play certain players, fair enough, but it's got to be effective. You can't play Suchik for a whole season, Antonio for a whole season when it's not working over and over again. Not change it, not give other players a chance, not try different things. This season, I've held my hands up. I think at times he has tried to change it, where his hands tied behind his back. I don't know, suspensions and injuries and stuff, but I think, in my opinion, it does come down to personal preference because I never thought I'd be criticising a manager that's won us a trophy. And
yeah, exactly.
I in fairness, I feel a bit like, despite all the things, I think he got lucky personally with the Conference League. I know it might sound harsh, but I don't think we ever really got a real difficult team until the semi-final.
No,
against
exactly. Yeah.
Pretty much League One teams. We were expected to win most of the games anyway. We were favourites from the moment we qualified for it. So it is fair criticism, but I also understand the people that don't criticise him and that do stick up for him because I think both sides have a fair argument. It's just where you stand on it, really.
Yeah, I agree with that because, like you said, I think as soon as we saw that Conference League and the group we're in, I thought we should win it.
Yeah.
Like I think Aston Villa should win it this year, but I thought we should win it, and. The only toss-up is semi-final and final because it always a lottery sometimes, if you don't turn up and win them games. But we did and got it done. So, I thought we should win it. But, some of his decisions in the league last year and his substitutions and the continuation of playing Souček when he was out of form.
Yeah.
You just go, what? Come on. He was out. And be fair to Souček, give him a break. He's getting slaughtered here. It's not fair. But, lots of things you can criticise him about. If he leaves, if he left in January, I'll be happy to say thanks very much, David. Bye-bye. We're going in a new direction. I'll be delighted with that. Wouldn't have any angst against him. But that's what I am. And it's not always, for me, ain't all about that result. It's about what I'm watching. And, some people only care about results. And,
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think, going back to the question, is the criticism fair? I think wholeheartedly, and I'm not a Moyes out or a Moyes in, I'm neutral. I just want our team to do well, regardless of who our manager or head coach is. But I think that the criticism is fair, like you said. It's fair to, to a certain degree. I'm going to bring Anton in at this stage because he's arrived. Good evening. All right, Anton. How are you, sir? I think that the criticism is fair because there's a majority, what it seems like a majority, from what I've seen and heard and read, that, the fans are disillusioned with the way we're playing. They don't want the style of football that we're playing. They don't like the tactics we're employing. They don't like the positional play of certain players. They don't like where they're being played. And, it's frustrating for everybody out there that buy a ticket to the game or subscribe to Sky or whatever the case may be. It's frustrating. You're paying your money and you're not seeing kind of football that you want to see. That's always sort of been a part of the game, but it's never been as evident as it is today for me. I think Dave Moyes has kind of outstayed his welcome, although I think he's still got plenty more to give to the game. Anton, bring you in on that question. You wrote the question.
I've been vocal, I suppose you could say, from the other side of things, so I can understand to an element a frustration of a team that's maybe not playing a certain standard or a certain way. But there's not been many years as a West Ham fan I've saw West Ham play a certain way in my lifetime, I think. And I'm not being disrespectful to you, Budge, or to you, Kieran, but you have been fortunate enough to see eras of West Ham that me and Luke maybe haven't seen. Of the West Ham way, and also West Ham winning stuff as well, and me and Luke haven't until recently. So I've come to terms with the fact that, and I think it was pretty inevitable, that within the next couple of years or this season, this would be Moyes' last one, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the fact that we've given him the benefit of the doubt, I suppose you could say, to give him this year at the job, because for me, I've been thinking about this every day and loads of things compute, and I'm like, look, you know where I'm at with the owners. Everyone knows where I'm at with the owners, right? I'm not a fan of the owners at all, but they run the club like a business, and they're never going to jump ship whilst we're in the situation we're going to do. So they're never going to jump ship. The only way they jump ship is if we go through a crazy game of losses, like crazy consistent loss. And if that we do well by playing bog standard football sometimes, and you know, Nigel says in the past, you know, goals are fun, all that sort of stuff. We're in a kind of world of consolidation, and success to our owners is not to be relegated, but to try and push on if we can. And if we don't push on, consolidation is an acceptable position to be in. Where I kind of go against the really over-the-top Moyes out argument, the over-the-top Moyes out argument, is when I think that the reason we sometimes borderline think the way we think is because our expectations have been raised. That's really where I come from, because they have been raised. So, Kieran, I don't know who said it,
of our own success, sort of thing.
Well, yeah, a little bit like that. Like, listen, I don't take expectation lightly. I didn't expect West Ham to win the Europa Conference League. If I'm being honest, I didn't, even on the back of a successful Europa League campaign. Why did I not expect West Ham to win it? Because literally 5 or 6 years ago, we got beat by Ashta Gugu and couldn't qualify for the Europa League competition. So, again, it doesn't matter. I've always said, whatever opposition come your way, it doesn't matter that we could be leagues above them. What West Ham have never shown is consistency in cup competitions. Ever. Previously.
Not ever. Not ever.
Yeah, sorry, but 2006 and then before that, when we also got beaten in the final. But we've never shown a level of consistency in a competition league to go on and win something. So people get fed up with that comment, oh, well, we've won this, we won that. I mean, I treat that final like fucking anything. So, again, for me, to cut a long story short, I am Moyes indifferent is the only way I could describe it, and I just don't. But there isn't, to me, there's not an argument. I understand why there's people are what would want him out. He's not going out, so it's like a why are we still talking about it in a way. But I get it. I get why we talk about it. But that's just where I'm at, you know. And I can understand people's frustrations at watching the game. Look, me and you have had many a chat in the West Ham with the group and stuff like that, and I see some comments and I'm like, oh, we're going to bite back, and then I'm not. And it's not, I know we never mean it in a dickish manner or whatever, but I think you said something about we'd be as well just giving the money to Sam Allardyce.
I mean, yeah, no, but where I was coming from with that comment was that, you know, you've got a bloke that, you know, by rights, where the facts are concerned, Moyes has been more successful than Allardyce was, but Allardyce still done the job that he was brought in to do. He got us promoted at the first time. He kept us up. Do this, do that. Wasn't pretty. Fans didn't like him. Fans hated him more than they hate Moyes, with the whole arrogance cup in his ear and stuff like that. But for the last 2 or 3 years, Moyes has been given or spent around near enough at least 100 million a year. Now I don't remember them chucking money at Allardyce like that. It was never like, right, you need 4 players, 30 million each, go and get them. So I'm not sticking up for Allardyce. I'm not really the biggest fan. I was at the time. I stuck up for him at the time. But since he left the club, I've learned about the things that he said about the club and the way he carried himself and stuff like that. I don't like it. But fundamentally, he even said it himself. He said it in TalkSport. He said it on when he's been on punditry. They said, do you feel like you could have achieved more at West Ham? And he goes, well, no. But first of all, it would have been nice if I was given the money that they've been giving these managers after me. And I reckon they didn't. I reckon Allardyce was in the same pot as Moyes. That they hired Allardyce, kept up for that season, and then thought, you know what, it's going well, just keep him on a little bit longer. But I didn't think that they chucked money at him like they chucked money at Moyes. I just don't. If I can be corrected in the comments or something like that, then Tom correct me. But I don't remember Allardyce getting under 100 million every year to spend on trying to get us into Europe, etc. So, from that point of view,
thank God we didn't give it to him.
No, fair enough. But he spelt out the wall, but like about 10 Andy Carrolls, I don't know. But he
He would have brought in 10 defenders and one big frontman.
But to give you a bit of relevance, because to take you back to that Allardyce era, right? His first season at West Ham in Premier League, he was given 23 million quid, right? But we are talking about 12 years ago at West Ham, so that was the 12th biggest spenders in the Premier League at the time. Chelsea had spent 109 million pounds in comparison to what they've spent this year. It's 1 billion pounds in terms of the wages. So again, it's quite, because all the information's there. Now, I always hear about the argument of David Moyes has had this amount of money to spend. But if you bring into the equation the money that David Moyes has had to spend and relate that to all the other clubs in the Premier League, we sit 8th in the Premier League of money spent out the way. So they've got Chelsea, Tottenham, Man City, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Newcastle, then West Ham. Then below us is Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Burnley, Brighton, Wolves, Aston Villa, Fulham. And the differences are 10 million between West Ham and Bournemouth, only 9 million between West Ham and Nottingham Forest. And I think it's relative considering the size of the club that West Ham, in terms of the stadium that they've got. So I don't think we're necessarily compared. If you compare what we've spent, I think we've actually spent relatively normal for our circumstances. Not anything above. It just feels above because West Ham have never spent that money. That's where I'm at.
That's kind of what I'm saying anyway as well. So.
The only worrying thing about the money we've spent is come the end of the season, we need to rebuild again. And we seem to be doing it every year, because if you look at the players you've got to have to unload, and now the writing's on the wall for all of them, with Cresswell, Antonio, Ogbonna, maybe Fabianski, and more. And you'll probably get rid of Johnson. You need to upgrade Soufal. There's a shitload of more money to be spent just to keep that squad, to build a squad. Unless we can find some gems, or heaven forbid, we bring a youngster through or two, which is not going to happen. But it's not happening. So I do think we have got a good 11 when they're all fit, reasonably. But when you think the players that we have to unload, the dead wood more or less, Benrahma to me be another one I'd get rid of. Fornals is probably, he looks like he's at the end of it, unfortunately, much as I love him. He's shot. So I just think we spent a lot of money, yet we're a long way from what we need to achieve.
Is he shot though, or is it just his?
He is on the pitch.
Or is it his motivation that's been shot? Because
exactly.
I mean, you're looking at a guy that was playing up to 120 minutes a week, and then all of a sudden he's now getting 14 to 20 minutes every other game.
Who's that, Budge?
Yeah.
Fornals.
We're talking about Fornals.
I mean, when it comes to Fornals, like Russ has been saying all along that he doesn't believe in the nicest, most respectful manner that he is a first-team starter for West Ham anymore. And I love Fornals to bits, and I think he's an absolutely... I think he's a phenomenal model professional that West Ham would want around the squad 100% every day of the week. I think Fornals, I don't think he's necessarily been treated wrong. I think he's just would be frustrated as any professional footballer would be who loves the club to the level he does, that he's not getting a bit more game time. So I don't think he's necessarily been treated wrong, because he's the guy that we've had inside information on. And what I mean by this is that welcomes the foreign players into the club and immerses them into the culture of what West Ham, East London, Pie Mash Liquor, all jokes aside, does all that.
Yeah.
He's so important to the squad for that side of things. And he'll be frustrated at the fact that he doesn't play every single week. But with all due respect, when he's been given his chance, he's not necessarily taken much.
No,
I'm not digging him out. He just hasn't been where I would expect him to be. When you're a sub and you come on, you would expect impact. It's a bit like Ben Rama. But then, you could equally argue about Ben Rama starting games when in actual fact, why the fuck is he starting games? So that then falls upon the manager, doesn't it? So.
I think the team has moved on. Ability-wise, I think now, as much as I love Fornals, and I think he's been moist, a bit like Joe Cole was when he went to Chelsea under Mourinho. He got, he made him into the hard-working, defended. Remember when we signed Fornals, he was getting into the Spain squad and everything. And he was being picked because he was, the kind of player he was. And he's been changed for that. But as much as I love Fornals, I think honestly our starting midfield is Paqueta, Ward-Prowse and Alvarez. That's just my personal opinion. And the only room left for a player like Fornals would be on the left wing. And we all know what happens on the left wing. You've got to defend on the left wing. And then you can have, I think it's an open. I know Souček comes in with a goal every now and then, but fundamentally, I don't really like Paqueta being on the left wing. I know he works with Emerson and stuff like that. But those players that we loved about 2 years ago, Ben Rama and Fornals, etc., they wouldn't actually start games. They wouldn't, and it's the team on form. You probably don't put Fornals or Ben Rama in that midfield because they're not.
No.
They've had their chances.
In fairness, though, we don't see the training and what goes on behind closed doors, do we?
I don't really want to be honest with you. I've got an idea.
It's bad enough watching the game, isn't it? So
yeah,
I think what Kieran said. Kieran, you made a valid point as well. Like, we've got a big rebuild to come on. I think equally though, we probably knew that we underestimated losing 2 consecutive captains. Well, I'm not saying we underestimated. We knew it was coming, but maybe we thought we had a real leader. I don't think we've really recovered from the Mark Noble and Declan Rice departure in terms of what they brought in the personality and ability, all that sort of stuff. I don't think we've ever really necessarily recovered from that. And I think that's a big loss, let alone the fact that, like you said, Kieran, we've got Fabianski, Ogbonna, and the aging team that are going to be kind of heading out the door. I think we're making a big transition defensively, because I still don't think we're sorted defensively. I think we're one. Not. We're in terms of central defense as well. Like, we're one real. I done a video the other day, and in actual fact, I don't think Moyes knows if it's two. He doesn't know his centre back pairing yet. But in actual fact, what we miss is Craig Dawson. We miss a Craig Dawson player, but we don't have a no nonsense defender. They're all too. Yeah,
I mean,
look, I think you said it. If corners were coming in from JWP, Dawson would be on the end of half of them. He'd be at fucking 6 or 7 goals already.
Yeah.
I
mean, as far as the no-nonsense defender's concerned, I think Kurt Zuma's a fairly no-nonsense defender. I mean,
the trouble
I know that not everybody on this panel is the biggest fan of him, but the fact is he's an hard-working guy, and he does put himself on the line. That's why he got injured so often, in the Chelsea squad.
I love him, Budge. I love him, mate. I do love him. I think he's a quality player. I don't actually have a necessarily a problem with him, but I just don't think he is. When I'm talking like the no nonsense, it's like, look, I think you put the comment out. What would you rather, a Ginge or a Dawson?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and we don't. I feel like we don't have that Ginge or Dawson. We don't have that. I think we've got a Zuma who's a no nonsense to a certain extent, but Dawson would have thrown anything on the line. Anything. doesn't matter. And he would have just got up and carried on with it.
I think you'll find that Mavropanos, once he starts getting used to the power and the strength that he's got within this league, I think you might see a very different player. I'm not saying he's going to be a Craig Dawson or a Ginge or, you know, but I think you'll find that he'll be a very technical and very useful defender up in the box for, you know, set pieces and stuff, you know, corners, whatever. Because he's a big boy. He's a big lad.
Most managers, though, Budge, I think they're all good, decent centre-half. But most managers look at what is the pairing. You can have two not the greatest centre-halves and be a great pairing. And we haven't got that. When you put Zuma and Aguerd, it doesn't look right. It's not that impressive.
No, but Mavropanos and Aguerd does
look right. Yeah, exactly. But we don't know that yet. I don't think we've seen enough of him, but that has to be tried. But then, you know, one of them, you know, someone's losing out. I just don't think we've decided on our pairing yet. We're not sure who works well together. Aguerd and Zuma, for me, don't. And it's just getting the right pairing right. They can all do a job. Yeah. When you watch Zuma coming out with the ball, though, that's scary.
You also
technically he's terrible with the ball at his feet. But
you also mentioned
he'll put his head where it needs to be. And if you're, unless you're playing counter-attacking football, he'll head and block everything he can. And, you know, there's no problem with that. But just getting the pairing right. And I'm not sure we've got it yet. And again, is another one that's hit and miss. 1 minute he's brilliant, then next minute he looks like he's just turned up.
He's still acclimatising to the league as well. I mean, he's only been here.
It's been a while now. I'd like to see him. But like I said, if you stuck again with Mavropanos, maybe that's the answer. I just don't know yet.
I think it would be. You also mentioned that we got to upgrade Soufal. Anything in your mind, like anybody in mind for that kind of role? Not necessarily anybody in the squad, but, you know, anybody.
I quite like the Forest guy who played against us on Sunday, Aina. I think
yes.
Yeah, I noticed him, Luke. He was good, wasn't he?
He took it past our players with ease, like they weren't even there. I don't know how old he is. I forgot to research him.
He's about 22.
But he's
23.
Yeah, see, that's someone that we could be grabbing hold of and say, right, you're our next defender for the next 5-6 years or something like that. Yeah. That's how a lot of these teams think. Unless you're going to sell them on, you're a Brighton or Brentford, you get 3 years out of you, then sell you on or whatever.
See, I quite like Rico Henry, but he's left-sided, isn't he?
Most players play anywhere now, I think, especially if they've come from.
Yeah. But I mean, I quite like the idea of us going for someone like Rico Henry that plays on the left and then pushing Emerson further forward up on that left wing. I think it'd be devastating up there.
To be honest with you, there was two players I was really impressed with. The only probably two real players I was impressed with in the game against Olympiacos was actually their two fullbacks, Ortega and Rodri. And when we were watching the second game, I was doing a little bit when I was doing the watch along thing. I typed in about Ortega, and they've only just signed him. He's Argentinian, but they've only just signed him. But I would say that was their threat really against us. They caused us loads of problems because those two players. And I've always made this comment about players who don't wear their socks over their shin guards, a bit like the Grealish mindset. But they're two fullbacks that don't do it, so it means that they've got an element of they can touch the ball well, they can get forward well, they can carry the ball well. The two of them two players did, and I think that sometimes when West Ham play against a European opposition, they'll do probably some form of scouting. Listen, Tim's all over it, so we've got to put faith in that whole process.
Up the stone.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, like, I think though, you know, if we were to sign two decent fullbacks, one for either side, and push Emerson forward, I think that would be quite a useful setup.
Well, let's put it this way: Emerson would offer you more than Ben Rama does, wouldn't he? Ben Rama offers you nothing. Ben Rama is a hindrance to that team going forward.
Emerson will offer you more than anyone else in the squad can out there right now. Oh, Anson's gone.
Oh, he didn't like that comment about Ben Rama. It's off. Ben Rama to me really ruins our offence because I'd rather get rid of him. But there you go.
I think if you're gonna play Ben Rama, you've got to play him in the 10 role, and that's it. Because Devon centrally trying to beat a few players.
Yeah.
Because
On the wings,
Or even in an 8 role.
yeah, just in the central, just hasn't got to do the wing work up and down the wing, try and take players on, just try and beat a few players, set up the forward or something like that. And then,
how about why don't we do what normal teams do and just sell him? Just get rid of him and put him back in the Championship where he belongs, because that's where Ben Rama is. As simple as that. He's not good enough. And if we have got ambitions to be better, then we've got to upgrade these players.
Who was responsible for the signing of Ben Rama?
Sullivan.
You know,
Sullivan.
was it?
Moyes wanted it from it was QPR, was it, where he come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ben Rama's agent was mates with Sullivan. There's one of those things as well. This is one thing I will say about Moyes is that we haven't always backed him. He has wanted players over the years, like Ed Nesre, for example. He chased Ward-Prowse for about 2 years before he got him. We don't always back Moyes with his first choice striker. I'm not saying every manager gets their first choice, but he did want it to say. I think Anton made a big point about it when we were linked with him. And
he did. I think he did want him. I can't remember if it was a different. Do you know what? What actually happened was, you're right, mate. It was Sullivan that took Ben Rama. That's right. You did. It was. He wanted Izzy, but he wanted Ben Rama, and we got rid of Dean Ganna at the time. It was exactly at the same time.
So give credit to Sullivan, though. He did give Moyes a present of Ings. That's been a right result, isn't it?
Apparently that was David Gold. Apparently that was.
Oh, was it?
Apparently that was someone he wanted to buy because he'd always rated him or something.
Sorry, Gold. Yeah.
No, that's only what I've heard. Don't quote me. That's only what I heard. It was like a last gift from him to him or something like that. But that screams to me a little bit like when Allardyce was in charge and Sullivan turned up with Paulista at training and said, "Here you go, here's a Brazilian boy." And Allardyce was like, "What? Who's this guy? Where did he come from?"
Yeah.
So he's had his moments, isn't he? Had his moments as a owner.
Yeah.
He's had some good ones, though. He's had a few good ones. I mean, let's be honest. When he brought Tevez and Mascherano to the club, I mean, might be a bit before your time there, Luke, but,
I was alive, mate.
It's all right, it's right. I'm just taking the piss, mate. I'm taking the piss. But, like, when, we had, what was it, half a season with those two? What a period of time to have, two much wanted, highly desirable, if you like, Argentinian superstars,
It's amazing the impact that Tevez had in that short period of time, because he did save our asses and stopped us getting relegated. But, he's going to be held in high regard by West Ham supporters forever because of that little stint.
Sorry, Kieran, go.
Was that?
No, sorry, I thought you'd finished, mate. Go for it.
Yeah, carry on.
I was just going to say that when I'll never forget that morning of waking up and finding out we signed Tevez and Mascherano, because that was the start of false feelings of the future of West Ham. I think every West Ham fan at that point thought, "Shit, here we go. The big
here we go, Champions League football.
Here we go." Yeah, well, it did. I had that buzz feeling on, obviously, and then fast forward to like 4 months later, and Hayden Mullins is keeping Mascherano out of the game. I remember actually.
Like superstar Mullins.
I remember actually. I went to Manchester City game away, and it was when we got beat by a Georgie Samaras brace.
Oh yeah.
I remember it.
I was at the game, and Mascherano had rarely started, and was whipped off, and Hayden Mullins came on, and actually did perform quite well. But by that point, Samaras had got a brace, and it was like we were really rotten. We couldn't get over it. We couldn't get past it, and then. It was the Tottenham game, wasn't it? It was the free kick from Tevez, even though we got beat, but that's what kick-started the rally of survival.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, so right. So anyway, that little Edding's been up there for a little while, and I haven't looked in the chat. And there's 57 comments I haven't read.
Yeah, well, what? Bang on it as usual,
So-
then, Gator.
Yeah, I know where I was though, because I starred the last one. I'm a clever bugger like that. There it is. Look. Right. So. So Mandy G's in the house, and she wants to know how much has Brentford and Brighton spent.
Is that this season?
I would imagine
I'm
so.
assuming-
Let's talk about that.
I'll bring that up for you just now. If you give me 2 seconds,
Okay.
put it in front of me.
I mean, Brighton aren't notoriously high spenders, are they? They usually get their players for reasonable money
Well-
and then sell them on for good money.
So they spent 101 million,
Okay.
but brought in 190 million.
So basically, they spent 85, 89 million.
89 million balance is
Yeah.
what they spent.
Yeah. Yeah. And in today's climate, that's not a lot of money.
Yep.
That's
Brentford,
like 3 decent players.
yeah, Brentford spent 64.
Right.
They brought
How many
in
players did they bring in, do you know?
14.
Wow.
They brought
we
in.
will.
They brought in
We can
10.
look for. We'll get some money in at the end of the season, won't we, for Paquetá? We'll get 80 million in for him. That gives a few quid to spend, wouldn't it? There we go.
I might have to jack you out of the studio, mate.
And that's
That's the difference. I was talking to a mate about this the other day, right? And like the way that Brighton and Brentford work is that, yeah, okay, you could go and sell Paquetá for 80 odd million. The difference is if you're a well-run club with a decent director of football, you'll then buy 3 other players that will make you forget about Paquetá because they'll make just as much. It's like Rice has gone, right? So we bought Kudus, Alvarez, Mavropanos, Ward-Prowse. That's 3 to 4 players, right?
Yeah.
Skamaka's gone, so Kudus coming with the Skamaka money, but fundamentally, there's 3 players now. There are times this season where fans have said we haven't missed Rice. We look better without Rice in the midfield. So, sell Paquetá, provided you're going to get in players that are going to make it go. Paquetá was great. He was a great player, nice one. Lit up the pitch, won as a trophy. That was the trophy. But this guy we got in now is even better, if not just good. That's how in my opinion, the club you run is that you can show your best players. Caicedo is a fantastic example because he got bought by Brighton to play in the Brighton system, and now he's not in the Brighton system. He's not having quite the same impact at Chelsea because he looks well. I'm just going off from what everyone says. He's not putting up trees, is he, at Chelsea? He might be playing well, but he's not doing what he was doing at Brighton enough to get him scouted by a top ball club or whatever it is. So,
see, I find that interesting because I found my time I found more time to watch other games a lot this season. And what I've noticed with Caicedo is I think he will eventually come good. It's just because they're not pulling on him to the level that Brighton needed to pull on him. So. What you're finding is it's taken Conor Gallagher, who's now possibly Chelsea's best player, by a million miles. In actual fact, I still to this day believe he could be one of the midfielders that got away. No one was willing to pay 40 odd million quid for him, but Premier League proven, okay, albeit playing at a struggling Chelsea, but he is by far one of their standout midfielders, by far. And I think when you've got players like him who've got that bite, that determination to go win that ball back, drive the ball forward, Caicedo doesn't need to do as much as what he had to do at Brighton, because at Brighton he had to do everything. I was even listening to, I think it was Ian Wright, saying he'll come good, but it's just because he's learning under a new system. That's I think players like him will have to kind of adjust to.
Yeah.
Well, we on that thing there, look. My hope is, and I said this with Stewie on the disabled team. When we signed Steitland, I thought that's the first time West Ham have looked to the future that I can remember. So I thought, wow, who's come up with Steitland? Who in West Ham there recognised him and got him? because I believe that the future is that. The future is that we don't. Let's not be scared. I weren't scared about losing Rice. I was scared about what we'd bring in. And now we've got a guy that can bring in players that we want. And if you've got that supply line of replacing players, and you've got your fingers in the pies of who can replace every player on the pitch, and I think this is him. I'm hoping that's him. I'm happy. I'm looking forward to that.
To my understanding, Noble is the one that started it. Because Noble had a year within being in around the club, not really having a job to do. Just basically, as far as I know, they made Noble a T-boy because they didn't really know exactly what role to give him. They just wanted him in the club at some stage. So he had the academy stuff, get him the academy. But I think what he'd done was he took a look around the club and took a look at a lot of other clubs. He went scouting around Europe. He's the one that picked Alvarez up and, nodded in towards Steiner and said, "You want to go get this guy from Ajax?" And then when they got him, I believe what happened was that Noble told Sullivan, "If you want to get this club going, I'm too inexperienced. I want to learn off someone else. Go and bring them in." Pick Steiner out, who was basically turned Leverkusen into a German powerhouse in the Bundesliga by bringing in Xabi Alonso from the Real Sociedad B team. So as far as I know, the whole project was basically thought about by Noble because he's
good. I'm glad to hear that, Luke. I didn't realise, because I knew it weren't coming from that boardroom. It weren't. There's no way they could have identified him.
Sullivan is a bit like Moyes himself, is the fact that he likes to do everything his way. He's West Ham's is his baby, and he wants to run it the way he wants to run it. He doesn't want to sell it. He wants investors to come in and make money. That's the way the club's been run for about 10 years, whatever you want to call it. So it calls to action that Noble spends the year behind the scenes and suddenly goes right. In fact, that's why we won the trophy. We won a trophy. We've got some sort of European name to our club now. People know who we are based off of that. Steiner also wanted to leave Leverkusen because he wanted more authority around the club. He wanted more stamp on things. But basically, we've just gone, we'll give it to you. We're in the Premier League. We're in London. We've grown up. We've won the Conference League. Let's do this and let's do that. For what it's worth, I think that they wanted a different player, but Moyes said he wanted Ward-Prowse. He was going to get one player this week. Ward-Prowse. So I think it's fair play for that because Ward-Prowse has been a great signing for us this season.
Yeah, he's been good.
He's been outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got a player like that, I don't think he's the greatest midfielder in the world, but he offers you that. We won against Forest because of him. Him and really him and Souček got a snap win because when you got a Prowse in the team, you need a Souček. Not necessarily Souček, but you need a player like that to get on the end of things. And he did, and he could have had a hat trick, couldn't he? Our most attacking threat was Souček. In that game for me.
He was. And the thing is, Ward-Prowse sometimes goes under the radar for what he does in the rest of his game. And if you look at his actual game stats, game by game stats, it's not just the set piece deliveries is why he's number one. It's what he runs all over the park, his interventions of the ball. Now listen, I'm not saying remotely that he is like for like in terms of what we've lost with Declan Rice. I think what we've had to do is bring in two players to replace that one player to do that job. So you've got an Alvarez and a James Ward-Prowse as such. But what he can do is put the ball in someone's head and he can get all the assists and all that sort of stuff. But you look at his pass rate, succession rate, I think it was like 96% against Nottingham Forest. And most of his passes were progressive passes. None of them were back. Hardly any of them were back. So he also did his defensive duties by intercepting the ball something like 6 times in the whole game, which was equal to the amount of what something like Alvarez did. And I thought Alvarez had quite a good to be back in the midfield doing his job. So listen, I don't think he's by far the all-round midfielder, but he's been a fantastic signing. Really has been.
He's been good for us.
And Steiden's exciting. Steiden's definitely exciting. I mean, it's a new journey for West Ham. Well, it's a new journey for West Ham that we've tried to do before that's not worked because we didn't bring the right people in. So the whole kind of Newman thing and then going further back when we tried to do it elsewhere. but you've got to put faith in the system. And listen, I credit what Luke. I said to you when I was at the last game with you. I said to you that, you know, I was at the Paolo Di Canio night, and the stuff that Di Canio was saying from going behind the scenes, and he's saying that everyone, you need to understand, as much as you think Moyes has got nothing to do with the structure, the systems that the club's putting in, I am telling you now, he does. I am telling you now, whatever the club is doing right now, Moyes has a say.
Oh, I'd say yeah.
So absolutely. So in terms of the scouting systems, in terms of the training ground structures, in terms of talking to Steiden, because Steiden is learning things off Moyes. Moyes is learning things off Steiden that will benefit that relationship. And I genuinely believe when Moyes does depart the club, he's doing it on the best of terms for this club. I genuinely think Moyes is there for and he's going to leave West Ham in a very good position, and we will all look back and go, "Thank you so much, Mr. Moyes. Thank you so fucking much." Yeah. But well, do you know what? Because he won't. Because I think he'll have that welcoming thing. They'll eventually put a statue up of him. People will be whatever.
Steady up.
They will. And I'm telling you what,
a bus. I'll give you a bus, not a statue.
I'll be there taking a picture, because I'll never ever forget that moment that night. Never in my lifetime.
I think most fans have probably agreed that. Well, most of the Moyes out fans probably agreed that he should have left the night after won the Conference League, because I tell you this now. I said this in the group chat earlier, right? If he wins a trophy for us this season, in my opinion, he can stay, because no matter what argument.
Oh no, steady, Luke, steady.
What I'm saying is no matter what argument I can put forward, right, the man would have won us 2 trophies. It's taken us 43 years to win 1, and he's won us 2, despite the fact that I can bring in argument after argument after argument of why he shouldn't be here, why he should go. Why I'm frustrated with him. If he can go, do you know what? You might be frustrated, but here you go. Here's 2 trophies. Here's the League Cup in February, for example, and here's the Conference League. I don't think I can say anything. I think, do you know what? Fair play. You might be the most frustrating manager I've ever known.
Yeah, ever.
But fair play. You've won us 2 trophies.
I don't. For me, he's not the most frustrating manager I've ever had at West Ham. I've seen so many. I've just talked about it there. We had Mascherano and Tevez, and we didn't play Mascherano. We've got and had an abundance of frustrating managers, and those frustrating managers have had world-class players and never done anything for the club. So I'm like, okay.
I mean, in context of him being a good manager, is in winning us things like Avram Grant was probably the worst manager we've had since I've been. But what I'm saying is that for a man that frustrates me on a weekly basis, that doesn't select the players that I want selected, that doesn't play the football that I like to see now, that I've realised I like to see and whatever, has gone and won us a trophy and has given us 3 years of European football, has done this, has done that. And I'm still sitting here slagging the bloke off. Despite all that, he's gone and factually achieved these things. And I'm like, well, I like Allardyce from the Sacco and Valencia. I like Bilic from the Payet and Lanzini on fire. I like Moyes' first time round. I like Pellegrini at a certain extent. We were playing quite well under him. So what I'm saying is...
I fucking hated Pellegrini.
I did, but in the end...
Not anyone looked good after Pellegrini. Come on.
But do you know what? Going back to your point about, you know, a lot of people thought Moyes was going to be heading out the door after the conference win. Sometimes I think people forget that there was Steiden was there. You know, was he there? Was Steiden there? Was he?
I don't think he was. He would have still been Leverkusen, wouldn't he?
I don't know. I can't actually remember the timescales of that, but I think that the situation would be that the club just did not. I don't think there's any doubts about it. They just didn't think the right person was there. The one thing I think, and I've got to give them their dues as much as I dislike them heavily, is they don't jump ship as quick as they used to. And they've done it so many a time before in the past. And a lot of the Pellegrini was the prime example, when we brought Pellegrini in because you wanted it, fans. We brought Sebastian Haller and Felipe Anderson in because you wanted it, the fans. That statement they released when Pellegrini left the club was David Sullivan going, but that's because you, the fans, wanted it. Well, no, hold on a second, David Sullivan. Just because we want it, it doesn't fucking mean you do it. Do the right thing. Get the right people in who are actually educated in the game of football, educated in running a business, and make the right decision, not just because on a whim you go, I'm going to make the decision because the fans are putting me under pressure because they're shouting abuse at me in the game. And the comment that Happy made, this one here right now, is that one there.
Sorry, that one there.
That hate on Moyes now. We'll see how far we came under him in the future. I honestly, you speak to Everton fans left, right, and centre. They get so frustrated by David Moyes. But what he did for that club was fluctuate them and consolidate them when they needed consolidation. We need consolidation to grow.
Yeah, but that's it. And again, this is about what you like. I like to see good football, so I'm never going to be a fan of him. Never.
Yeah.
And now bringing Steiner in, I'm hoping he has got a manager lined up will play a better style of football, regardless. And not be a disaster. I'm just hoping he's got his finger on the pulse here to get a guy in that will enjoy and probably have the same success, hopefully. But that's it. Moyes is one of them. He's always going to divide opinion because if you're only interested in results and what we get, then you probably put up with him. I like it. I don't. I don't like getting up at 1 or 2 in the morning here, watching absolute dross, and we win it 1-0 and go, wow. I just God, why did I get up for that?
Kieran, we never win it 1-0. We either lose it 3-2 or win it. We either lose it 3-2 or win it 3-2. But then again, it goes back to the whole kind of I don't fight that battle. Nigel fights that battle of going goals is entertaining. I get that to a certain extent for a neutral looking in. You know, if you see West Ham on the telly, you're going to probably watch the game because you know they're going to concede.
Yeah, you probably enjoy it. Some goals and that.
We had a Nottingham Forest fan on last week, and we said, like, the guy was like, I think Nottingham Forest will win 1-0. And I went, mate, that game will not finish 1-0. The game will not finish. I don't know who will win, but it will not finish 1-0.
No. I mean, this is it, mate. When you look at the defenders we bought and the amount of goals we're shipping, oh God, we got to stop doing that. You know, you can't be having to score 3 goals a week to win a game. And and that's what we're doing at the moment.
But here's a point she's all right. What I don't understand is, for the majority of last season, it wasn't conceding goals that was the problem. It was scoring goals that was the problem.
Yeah, no, it's the opposite.
Apart from Craig Dawson, what's the difference in our defence?
Yeah, I know. Because when you look at it, we've got goals all over the park there, haven't we? Even if you include Souček and Bowen, and not Antonio at the moment, obviously not, but Kudos can score. You know, and the 2 defenders at set pieces. We've got goals everywhere, but yet we're just conceding too many. We've got to tighten up, and it's getting that back pairing right. I think whatever that pairing is, it doesn't look like it's a Gerd and Zuma for me, but that has to get better.
I think
an upgrade on the right back too. Obviously.
Dawson left in January, didn't he? And then I think his season has been a bit of a predictable one in the fact that Gerd every game makes at least one mistake that leads to a goal. There's no real command in the box. We always come out sleeping in the second half and concede a goal at some point in the first 20 minutes. It's never us that scores in the second half first. It's always the other team. So there's been certain, let's say, we've improved up front. We've produced and Paqueta getting more goals, and Bowen's now scoring more goals this season, stuff like that. But at the back, we're still sort of, again, to me, he's fantastic at his balls, playing balls over the top, fantastic passing range. But as a defender, I think he blows very hot and cold. Zuma's, I don't know if anyone watched the game against Nottingham Forest, but he was the worst jogging around I've ever seen. It was like he was literally having to drag his leg along with him. So he's a busted man. He needs to be a fantastic defender on his day. I'm not taking anything away from him. He even with one leg, he's still a good Premier League defender. Not as true as a captain.
And I think if you look back, Luke, as well as Dawson, when Ogbonna before that big injury, he was he was outstanding for us, and that made a difference.
Our
He really
team
was.
dropped form-wise when he went off. I think we had that 3-2 against Liverpool, didn't we? And then after that, we never looked quite as strong after that.
That's right, mate. I think it made a big difference at the time for us at Bonner. He was superb at the time.
At the same stage last year, West Ham scored 9 Premier League goals after 12 games. This season we've scored 21.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
So,
What about conceded now?
conceding, we were 11 last year, and this year.
And that's with our striker not scoring, and Anton, isn't it?
Well, here we go. 11 we conceded last year. Conceded 22 this year.
There you go.
We have fucking
Right.
flipped it on its head.
There's right. We've identified the problem here. Right. So please, someone go and fix it. Christ's sake.
Lads, I'm
Let's-
going to go. I've got an early start tomorrow. All right. Cheers for having me on.
Luke, thanks for joining in,
All the
mate.
best, Luke.
No worries.
Happy
luck with the
birthday
bubby.
to Ivy.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, little one. And listen,
Yeah.
look, the next time I'm down, we'll get a picture of you with Moyes' statue, all right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to fly all over it. Piss all over it.
Yeah, but he's got to show his tattoo as well.
You will.
No,
You will.
no.
You're having a tattoo of Moyes if we win the Europa.
Oh God, I'm going to jump off my boat.
Side note, Kieran, is that birds in the background? 'Cause,
I think it's Peach. I think
Oh.
Peach. She wanted to come back as a bird. I think he's out there driving me mad. That one, Squeaker.
I went to the zoo today and I think I'm still there.
Oh, there's a load just come in and they're all going bonkers. Sorry about
One of the comments earlier said oil the squeaky wheel.
that. I can get the shotgun out and sort them out, but my neighbours might not like it.
I'm gonna also leave the show to you, Budge and Kieran. So thanks.
All the best.
All right. Thank you,
All the best,
Anton.
Luke.
Thank you, Luke.
All the best, lads.
Cheers, guys. We're probably not going to be on
Oh,
too
it's-
much longer, but thanks for joining in. There we go. And then there was 2. So let's put that there like that.
Right, thank God
There
they've
we
got it.
go.
Going on
James
about
Bond
Moyes
just
and all that. It's doing me. What? Oh, Russie B, right? Russie B was in the ground the other day because he had a little chat with Steele. Why don't he just ask him, what are you doing here? Instead of just having a chat, what are you doing here? Any rumours? Tell us what's going on. What are you doing?
Yeah, when are you coming? Well, look, I'll tell you what, right? I was looking at a few of the managers around that aren't big names, but they've won big trophies, right, that are available. And one of the guys that I came up with, I'm going to put his name up on the screen, hang on. Right, because I don't know how to bloody say it. Bugger it. Right.
Ooh, squeaky, squeak. You
Right,
can't.
this is the fella I'm talking about. Stefano Pioli.
Yeah, he's easy
Right.
enough. Stefano Pioli. Don't know.
Yeah. Right, he's currently the AC Milan manager. He's been there, hang on, I'm just having a look on the screen. Where are you? There you are. He's currently, yeah, he's been there since 2019. So as a manager, he's managed, I don't know, over a dozen teams, including Sassuolo, who we got Scamacca from, Inter Milan, Fiorentina, Lazio, Bologna, Palermo, Chievo,
Jesus
Parma,
Christ.
Medina. He's and he's been like in the job for the first 3 or 4. He was only in the job for like a year, and he was only under
Yeah, it sounds like he
18,
gets sacked a lot. Budge.
under 20. But then when he went into senior management rather than under 20s, etc., The first job, he was only in there for a year, and that was because he had a disagreement with the board. But then he did a couple of years here, there, and everywhere. But he's been at AC Milan now since 2019. So that's what, 4 years now? And since he's been there, let me just have a quick look. Right, so he's, hang on, let me have a look at his personal, there we go, honours. As a player, with Juventus, he won the Serie A in 85-86, the European Super Cup in 84, European Cup in 84-85, the Intercontinental Cup in 85. That's with Juventus. But as manager, with AC Milan, he won the Serie A title in 21-22. He was only there for 2 years. And he won the title with them. And individual honours, he's won Serie A Coach of the Season 21-22 season. Serie A Coach of the Month in October 21, March 22, May 22. Serie A Coach of the Year 2022. And the Pacina d'Ora 21-22. Now what that is the golden bench. That's literal translation. I was looking at this earlier. And it's the golden bench. Basically what it means is that he's used his substitutions in the best possible way, this, that and the other, and he's become basically, that's another, it's an Italian title that they give to managers, so he's been quite successful, but he's actually quite let me see if I can throw a picture up of him.
That's the title Moyes will never win, wasn't it? A really good bench.
Yeah.
You don't know how to use it.
Yeah,
It sounds like he's had one good, that sounds like he's had one really good season and won the league. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I
And won everything else.
would probably agree with that. Hang on,
So,
share
fair
screen. There we go.
Yeah, trouble is, I wouldn't be able to pick a manager for us at the moment. You know, I'm still in mourning because Big Ange went to Tottenham. So that was my pick. It's the only one I got. But
Are you seeing
I did look up, talking with my young lad Kieran James the other day, and
here we go.
I was telling him all about Stein, where he come from, Leverkusen and whatever. And it's amazing that where they are at the moment, they're top of the league in the Bundesliga. You know, don't think they've lost a game. They drew against Bayern Munich, doing well in the Europa League. Everything about Xabi Alonso at the moment is very positive.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree, but he's
connection
going to
is
be hard. He's going to be an hard one to approach. You know, that's the problem with that.
Maybe at the end of the season, though, Butch. Maybe there's a chance at the end.
Well,
So I don't know what style of play that they do at Leverkusen. But I do remember we played them, didn't we? We in the pre-season friendly, and they played us off the park.
yeah, 4-1, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was, geezer. They played us up the park, and I went, wow.
Oh, mate, they
are
absolutely destroyed us. And that's why I weren't confident for the final against Fiorentina. Because Fiorentina
I was
beat them in the league, didn't they? Quite convincingly.
Yeah, and I was fairly confident for the final.
Was it Fiorentina? Yeah.
But like any final is Budge, you know, on the day, it's about you on the day, isn't it? Any final can go either way.
Of course.
We've seen that over the years, you know, from Sunderland winning the FA Cup and Wimbledon. You know, you can beat a top team in the final, but I thought we'd get it done. I really did.
Yeah.
Pretty confident.
I mean,
that's
we've actually had a history of doing that, really, though, haven't we?
Yeah.
When we've been in finals, we've always been up against relatively decent teams in modern history, anyway. Like since like the late 50s, I would say, early 60s. We've always come up against a decent team in the final. And I think Liverpool being one of the few that we lost in the final, you know.
Yeah, we lost the League Cup in '81 in a replay. We drew at Wembley.
That's right.
Then I remember going to it and then going up to Villa Park for the replay. And I think it was Dalglish that done us that night. I think we went 1-0 up as well.
Horrible bloke. Horrible bloke.
He was good.
Broke my heart that day, he did.
Yeah.
Horrible bloke. Yeah. But then, you know, it always seems to be, doesn't it? You know, there's always the one, you know, like Gerrard in 06 and...
Yeah, that was another second one. But this is the trouble is with a cup, everyone's in it, isn't there? When you're talking about a League Cup and you're talking about an FA Cup, every team's in it. So sooner or later, you're coming across the big ones, as we're
unless,
about to find out.
It's the Betway Cup. Unless, of course, it's the Betway Cup, one that was actually created for our benefit. We never fucking won it.
You know, that's what... Do you know, I laugh when these teams put the Charity Shield, you know, as part of their resume for winning a trophy. Are you kidding me? That makes me laugh. That's mental.
Yeah.
Two teams in it, and we won a trophy. Load of bollocks.
Well, I suppose in some respects it's kind of like best on best, isn't it? You know, the best in the top cup competition in the world, club cup.
To me, it's a pre-season friendly. That's all it is. Load of bollocks.
Yeah, it is really. It is really.
But anyway,
you don't get bugger all for it, do you? Other than like about 48 hours of press coverage. That's about all you get.
It's a good season opener, and that's it. But you know, we wouldn't be. Oh, we won an FA Cup, we won this, we won that, and we won 3 Charity Shields. What? You actually put that on there?
Yeah,
that's just me. But there you go.
Well, you know, each to their own, isn't it? I mean, back in our day, Kieran, people would never have said how many assists did he have.
No, that didn't exist, did it? What that was? No. Yeah, use your own eyes to see who's doing well. That was it.
Yeah. What's his passing stats? Well, he can get the ball from A to B.
There were certain players you knew they were bad if you weren't asked. Can't pass a road, man.
Can't pass a pub without falling into it.
Yeah, falling in it. But yeah.
All right. Well, look, I think we should call it a day. I reckon we've bored people long enough. Oh, actually, look, before we go, though, looking forward to the Liverpool Cup game.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We've got to beat one of the best teams in it.
And notoriously, the club that generally beat us in finals.
Yeah,
so we're now going to meet them in, what is this, the 5th round coming up?
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, 5th round.
Yeah, the only thing I did like about it is that they've got Man United and Arsenal either side of that midweek game.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll
they might
a bit.
Well,
might help.
You know, it might confuse Ten Hag enough to stick out the under-18s or something, you know, by accident.
Not Ten Hag, surely.
Not Ten Hag. What am I talking about? Oh,
Mr. Klopp.
What's his name? Klopp. That's him. Yeah,
Klopp.
Clippity.
Yeah, Clippity Klopp, mate. We'll just say a bit lucky. He might go easy. You never know, though, do you? Any cup.
Yeah,
and like I say, you can't play for a replay anymore, can you? You've got to go try.
Because it goes down to flipping penalties now.
So, yeah,
I hate penalties. But having said that, you know, the one other good thing is that what was it? The quarterfinals, was it? When we beat Man City in the League Cup, and they notoriously winning it, weren't they? They had five cups in a row, was it, or 5 years and 4 cups?
Yeah,
like
we stopped them.
Yeah, on penalties.
On penalties.
That was a good day. That was a good day.
Penalties are great if you win it. if they're
Yeah.
not. If you don't.
1-1 the final score of that was on the day, wasn't it? And then 5-4 on penalties, wasn't it?
I think so, Rog.
Yeah. But yeah, I just remember the feeling of, kind of
Something.
justification. Justification, you know. Man City were winning everything, and then little old West Ham come along and stand on their toes for a bit.
Yeah, it makes a nice change. You know, what I mean, weren't long before that we were getting beaten 4 or 5-0 by them, even at home. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got. I don't even know this crap this weekend in England. I don't even know when they're playing, what they're playing.
Malta,
So-
I think it is on Friday.
But you got Burnley next, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I'm confident in that game.
I am
saw
too.
a stat the other day, right, when they were playing. Who was it? Arsenal. And Arsenal scored from 2 set pieces. The record in set pieces is probably one of the worst in the league. So that's a start, right?
Yeah.
That's a start. I'm predicting we're scoring three goals against them. We're sticking 3 past them because JWP will. You'd have to play Souček now because of that. He's got to play.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to score 2 by headers.
Amaret's put this comment in. Bowen 3rd for goals, Soufal 8th, she thinks, for assists. Actually, we've got 3 players in the top 5 of the top 8. So 3 of our players are in the top 5. Well, they were yesterday anyway. That was
I thought
Soufal,
Bowen was second, but
JWP's top for assists on 9 now. He's got 9 assists now, I think. But was it Bowen was also in the assist list? So, I can't remember, but we've got 3 players in there. JWP and Soufal are both in there. Who else is in there? I can't remember, but we've got 3 in there. Yes, and as Happy says, please like the stream, everybody. Subscribe if you haven't done already. Hit the notification bell for all of the West Ham Network streams. There you go. Well said, Happy Amaret.
yeah, you can listen to someone else talking bollocks.
Yeah. yeah. So we're gonna probably take over most Wednesdays. You know, if there's anything that prevents us from doing so, we'll let you know well in advance. But most Wednesday nights, 11 p.m. UK time, 9 a.m. for you, innit, Kieran?
It is, yeah, mate. 9 a.m. for that when I come on here, and it's hot, mate. It's pretty hot.
Oh,
I'm sitting
fuck's
here,
sake.
mate.
Now we got to put up with these bloody weather reports.
Yeah, the weather report is goes up. We've been having 35 degrees days today. Bit cooler, it's about 32, but it's stinking hot, mate. And summer's just about starting. It's very humid. So
Not
yeah,
jealous. Not jealous at all.
believe me, it's not that nice. I'll just be wearing shorts for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Walking around in my underpants yesterday, guys.
Oh, for God's sakes, that's
Hey,
not something I want to fucking
even put the
think about.
shorts on.
I don't want to think about you walking around in your.
I look
bloody
gorgeous,
underpants.
Peter. Look gorgeous.
Oh, I bet you do. Yeah, I bet you do. 2 bits of string hanging down. Oh no, that was your legs,
Yeah.
mate. It's been a pleasure chatting with you as always, and it's been a pleasure.
Good to see Luke and Anton.
Most of the comments we managed to get up, not all, but most. Thank you everybody for commenting. Thank you for joining us. Please remember to like the stream on your way out of the door. And also don't forget to check out Green Street Elites. Kieran and I are going to start doing a few things on there hopefully in the near future. And also, guys, if you want to come on and be a part of the in crowd, I'll be happy to sit and chat with you for 45 minutes, an hour or something, and we'll find out about why you're a West Ham fan. So get in touch with me. There's loads of ways you can do it. Comment on one of my videos any way you want. Right, guys, I'm going to call it a day now. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. I'm going to try and find a little video, which is the outro. There we go. There we go. Anyway, guys, take care. See you
All the
soon.
best. Laters.